About 3 weeks ago, I was sitting, we were at a wedding reception. There was a bunch of us and we were talking about our lives. So this friend that I've known for over 50 years, we started arguing about his parenting style. And then he said something, and I swear to God, I could have slapped him. Because we asked him, okay, you're here now. Who is looking after the children? And he said, there is a maid and the TV. I was like, you are lucky, because I could have slapped him. He said, you can't do that. So, what Elizabeth asked me to talk to you about makes one fundamental assumption, that you are parents. And I'm not talking about the fact that you have children. No. So first of all, if any of you has children who are out of Uganda, as far as in my books, you've done well. It's a fantastic choice. So don't second guess yourself. And I'll be telling you why. But there is a big difference between being a father, a mother, and being a parent. One is biological, one is divine. It's a responsibility. It's not a consequence. Some of you are just financiers and carers. You're not parents. So if you have never thought about it that way, I want you to understand that parenting is a big responsibility. It is bigger than one night of passion and 9 months of carrying a load. It's about taking responsibility. By the way, just in case you don't know, let me also add this. All of you seated here think you're very important. You really have only one purpose in life, reproduction. After you've reproduced yourself, go. You have no purpose being here. That's why we used to die at 40. We've just extended our stay here. But once you've reproduced yourself, that's the most powerful responsibility you have on earth. Not to build long structures, invent cars. No. It's that. It's a sacred responsibility to be a parent. So parenting across borders assumes that you've already undertaken the primary responsibility, which is the responsibility of being a parent. So I'll tell you one thing just to illustrate what I mean. And the good thing, there is at least one or two people in this room who are my colleagues or were my colleagues at work. Every day, as long as I was in Uganda, every single day, I took my children to school and I picked them from school. Every single day. Now, they've gone off to different destinations. Up to now, I will take my children to the airport and I will pick them from the airport. So guys used to ask me, why don't you send a driver? Did we produce the children together with the driver? I was the one who was in the mix. So, there are many things that happen in that obligation. So, if you come home after you've been important in your job and then you arrive at home after you've done all the networking and the dinners and you arrive at 9:30 p.m. in your house, you will never know what happened between morning and evening to your child. The first thing the child will tell you is what they saw on TV. Or they'll just wave at you and then you go to bed. You have no clue who your child is. That's true, I know it. So whenever I was in the car with the children, and as I told you, I have colleagues, I've never had a driver in my life. No driver, no bodyguard. Life is simpler. You don't have people hovering around. So you talk about things. You build a connection. They tell you what happened in school. They tell you what the teacher told them. They tell you who their friends are. You see your child growing. Many of you are so busy sitting in front of your computers in a box room, you've missed a whole part of your children growing up. But I digress. So after You have been a parent and an effective parent. Both of you who are responsible for this child must develop a shared ambition and a dream for your child. You can't just say, I'm taking the child to which school and why. You as the parent, and don't tell me that you are a single parent, i.e. the women, you know me, I'm a single mother, so I'm the one who decides. Or the men, me, I pay fees. I don't care about the rest. Let her deal with the rest. You will come and talk to me when that child is 40 and you don't know what animal you produce. And you will be paying that price. You can't turn it around. You'll be close to tears. So for me, my thinking about schooling was shaped by a decision that was made by my mother in 1981. So my mother, so I had been part of a group of guys who were performing well. One of them is the current Minister of Health, extremely intelligent woman, very, very intelligent. She used to be fast, second. Me, I would be around sometimes the third, fourth, sixth. So when the grades came back, everyone else went to SMARC, to Budo, Gayaza, and Amagunga. I was the only one who didn't have access to a good school. So my mother's cousin came on. So I had been admitted to go to Mengo Senior School. 1981, for those of you who are not here, was a very difficult time in Kampala. Extremely difficult. So my mom's cousin comes and tells her, by the way, there is a school in Busoga. The headmaster is a Mzungu. He's, those days, corporal punishment would end in primary. Said he still administers corporal punishment from S1 to S6, and S1 to S4 they wear shorts. She said, are you sure? He said, yes. Said, let's get him a place there. That's how I wound up in the same school with my good friend Dan. That school, as Dan will tell you, shaped who we became. And as fate would have it, we arrived in the job market and in a country that was ready for our type of schooling experience. That's why you've had people like the late Alexander Ola, Juliana Kalomozi. Those are people that we, believe it or not, we went to school from 7 up to 1:30 in the afternoon. Then we had lunch, then we went on swam, there was dancing, it was fun. We had video, we had movie night every Friday, we had dance every Saturday. So, yeah, by the time we arrived on campus, we had no excitement about miniskirts and girls. There was nothing. You see Budonians and Gayaza people smarting, you see a girl, they get excited. For us, we were done. So, with that thinking, I started to discuss with my wife. As soon as the children, first boy arrived, we said, what is the dream? And we didn't discuss it openly, like we sat at the table and did a strategy. No, it's just in conversations. What would we want our child to be? And really what came down was we wanted our children to thrive in a world that was going to change, in an international context. A world, and I'm not saying this for racial purposes, I didn't want them to be dazzled by Mzungu the way we had been. For us, Mzungu a big deal. No, so go and live with them. Just see that they're ordinary guys. So for my children, it's just another human being. Because we saw that we wanted them to have that exposure. So, and I'm not saying this to impress you, because at the age of 11, each of my children left the country and went to high school. The age of 11, a boarding school. It took me 4 years to persuade my wife. 4. First, I told her I had found a school in South Africa. She laughed and she changed the conversation. Then I told her again, by the way, this school, why don't we go and see? So we went, she saw. She came back, she said, okay. Then I took her back again another time. I said, what do you think? This is now the girls' school. Then she told me, let's first go and check Kenya. She said, we go. We went, we came back. Then on the fourth time, she said, look, I think you have a point. Let's try. And the rest is history. But it was a 4-year persuasion, a 4-year process in which we had to overcome our personal and private emotional consideration and put the interests of the children above. I talk to parents and hear the mother say, I cannot let my child go. No, the problem is not the child, it's you. You're the one who has this emotional attachment to the child. You think the child is like a crutch. You don't want them to go away. You know me, I have to have my child. Okay, you have your child. I'm going to employ him. Then when the child becomes 25, ask them why they're not leaving your house to go and get married. Because you got them used to staying with you. But the thing that guided our choice, and this is important for you, do you have values? Some of you just exist. You're just passing through. Don't have any values. Do you have values? Does the place where you want to take your child represent those values? And is the school representative of the values? My mother had values. She wanted a disciplinarian. So she said, if I take him there, I don't have to worry. There are those of us, me, Mwanji, who were here in the 80s. That time was very difficult. You couldn't even have a child at home because you were not sure. So many of us were shipped off to boarding school. Go and be there, it is safer. And going to our boarding school those days, you ask Dad, Suga there, they will tell you. It was like going abroad. Yeah, from here to Busoga would take the whole day. Done. You remember? We would, in the morning, we would get to school at 7 p.m. It's not takes you to get to Nairobi. So, that was a major consideration. What are my values? So when I found the school, believe it or not, the thing that clicked it for me is that I saw the kids. I was in that town. That time it was called Grahamstown. So I went to Grahamstown for a totally different issue. And I saw these kids in town, smartly dressed. I had not seen a child wearing socks up to the knees. So there must be something special about that school. So Elizabeth will tell you because her kids went to the same school. In that school, they had uniform for everything. So you had no time to dress differently. There was an equalizer. There's uniform for being in the dorm, for sports, for class, for going to town, for traveling. They were very strict. And that's the context in which I wanted my children to be. I just didn't go looking for an international school or out of the country because I am MD and therefore all my big friends are now taking their children and I go, no, I'm not a bandwagonist. There was thought. There was discussion. So even if you don't live together, but you have a child, find a way. Don't let your fights get involved in the decision of the child. Don't let it poison it. You bite your tongue, sit together however unpleasant that is, and just agree, only discuss. Why are we choosing this school? Let it be not a fight over the other person's judgment. Because the child is bigger than the two of you. So the other consideration, and now we are moving towards so the other consideration for out of the border, across the border, was, so for me, university now was calling. I'm thinking about this 3 years before the children are going to university. So I start discussing with my wife. So say, now what do we do? So I told her, first of all, the United States is out. Why? They are crazy. As we can now all see. Canada is a bit far. Okay. So our philosophy was, you should be able to do one flight between your home and the country. Secondly, for me, the question is, what does that country represent? And I'll explain to you how we thought about it. What does the country represent? Then, three, for me, the principle was very simple. The child must go to a school where the town is very small. 2 streets are enough. 1 bar, 1 church, no confusion. Yeah. No, what are you doing in a big city? You don't have any income. What are you doing? You're not working. The money is mine. I am the one paying you. You do exactly what I say. So for my first son, I traveled to the Netherlands. I wanted a small country. I knew the Dutch, for one thing, they're very organized. So I wanted my child in a country where people are organized, but they're also modest. So I traveled there and went to some universities. They tell you that this one is a professor of engineering. He's in an old white t-shirt, orange trousers, and orange trousers and Crocs. So you have a PhD? He said, yeah, just sent a station to the moon. Really? Yeah. So but they told me one thing in the Netherlands that really clicked it for me. They said, half of our country is below sea level. Below. But we've not had a flood in 70 years. So you can see their engineering, the way they operate, the way they do. And at that time, their prime minister had become a celebrity because he used to ride a bicycle to work. That's the place I wanted my son to come of age. So, but he then plays me. And I said, okay. So he says, okay, you want me to go to the Netherlands? Yes, fine, no problem. But I found a course. I said, okay, good. But the course is only at the University of Amsterdam. I said, but we agreed. The big city. He said, well, Daddy, this is what I want to do. So I compromised. Okay, since you have accepted my country, I'll accept the university. That one went, as we speak, masters. Well, his own lives, very independent man. That's what he likes. Thankfully, he hasn't started wearing orange trousers, but at least Crocs, he's the master of Crocs. My daughter then comes with the story. She knew very well that I was against the UK. For exactly the same reasons I did. Because then she comes with this story. I'm going to do a degree in English. I have to go to the UK. Because as we later discovered, all her friends were going to the UK. So I said, okay, fine, no problem. Can we look around at the countries that would offer a degree in English? The options were not very attractive. Australia, Canada. Our members here, it's a bit tough. Because the guy who's teaching the English doesn't know it himself. So I said, okay. Fine, agreed. You choose the country, I choose the university. Are we agreed? Yes. You're going to Wales. In a village called Aberystwyth. She spent there 3 years. There's only one street goes through. I'm happy. No. The tail cannot work the dog. I am in charge. They know it. I don't punish, I don't beat, but we're very clear about who is the law. And I'll also explain that. Third young man comes around, it's his time. I tell him, you know the principle. Daddy, you know, UK, what. So I gave him a condition. I said, it's all right. You want to be a lawyer? Yes. You want to go to the UK? Yes. Oxford. Don't get the grades for Oxford, I make the decisions. Yeah. So he didn't get the grades for Oxford. I go and find a small country which is beside the UK, Ireland. There's a university called Cork, 267 kilometers from Dublin. Go. No distractions, because there are bars there in Dublin. Guinness, what. Focus, 3 years. Don't be distracted by neon lights have been around for a long time. I told him, alcohol, you are not the first to make it. You have found it here. You drink it until you get. So wait, 3 years. Girls, since 4 million years ago, do you find them? Just focus for 2 years. Go there, relax. Bring my degree. And then after you have brought my degree, I have told each one of them, I am now not the decision maker anymore. I am a strategic advisor. Okay, I'll still invest in your fees, but at this point, you have brought my degree. I am happy. You have grown. You have understood my logic. You are a better human being. Now you know how to make choices. You've experienced the world. You've seen what's coming out. Nothing shocks you. So now you know how to make decisions. And two bonuses from that decision that I made. Number one, there was a very specific program in that school, and the teachers told us the rationale. There was a very specific program about drugs and alcohol and fast cars. And the teachers took us through how we should deal with our children for them to avoid the excitement and temptations of later in life. So they come here for holidays, and sometimes listen to their conversations and laugh. Say, man, can you imagine these Ugandans, the types of alcohol they drink they're like fuel. What? That man. We don't know how these guys do it. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Because that excitement is not there. They know, and we know. Then the second thing is that they have no idea of my status in society because they were away. So that has helped. So my daughter always asks me, Daddy, do you know everybody in Kampala? I said, no, I just wave because I'm being polite. But it helps because sometimes as a parent, if you are in the kind of position that some of us have been, your children can get carried away. They think they are part of the script. So that has kept them grounded. And I don't regret it. I am very happy. They've made friends. Don't worry about the money. Kasaija has told you. The thing that you will find difficult to deal with is the emotional difficulty of letting your child go. It's extremely tough. Very, very tough. The toughest emotional times I have faced was when I would drive my son to the airport. He would be crying. That's the funniest bit. He would cry from home up to the airport. Thankfully, those days I still had a bit of influence, so I would cross up to the final security departure area just to make sure then he's gone and he's still crying. Then some parents who may have been on that flight call and say, man, the boy was crying. And then he would get to Port Elizabeth and find his friends. Then you call him at 4 and he's a totally different person. Then I'm with my friends, and then he doesn't call you back. Done. Only when the debit card is not working, he remembers that you are there. Says, Daddy, you know this thing. Okay, we'll sort that out. But would I recommend it to any of you? By all means. Because looking at some of the schools here and some of the stuff that is going on, like, what is this? I wouldn't know that. And then people talk about money. I look at you and the grab you buy. We only bought, I think, lotion. That's all. Otherwise, the food is okay. And you can see now, and I can see now that with my children, when I ask them if they want anything, they're not interested. So recently, before, when we would go somewhere, I would say, the mother is there, no, let me buy this for you, let me buy this for you. So recently, we did a trip. So I told them, okay, guys, the money is not enough. So you go online, figure out what you want to buy while we're on this trip, tell me how much it is. So they all went, looked around, I want this from this shop, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, thank you very much. So how much do you think you will need? Each one came back with a figure. I rounded up the figure and gave each one exactly the same amount of money. Each one of them, I kid you not, each one of them bought only one item of the things they had said they were going to buy, and they kept the money in the pocket.